Double, double, toil and trouble, fire, burn, and cauldron bubble, double, double.
So whenever we're ready to start, we can get started.
Fam, that was my intro.
Oh, well, rejoice everyone, we're back with another episode of Sekhie Reacts to Fate.
It's your girl, Sekhie, and the unimportant mook behind the screen.
Fuck off. So, this week we're doing Abigail Williams, actually. That said, Sekhie's excited for another part of this that she does know from prior to the series ever being a thing, so.
I'm also super unexcited for the fact that it's Abigail fucking Williams, because I had traumatic experiences with the Crucible book in high school, and I know that this is the historical figure and not the character from the play, but, it leaves a mark.
Let me go ahead and introduce our character, because I know you're not a big you don't find this character too...
No, I'm not interested in Abigail very much. I mean, I know the basics of her history, 1600s. In the play, she's a teenager. In history, she was a little child, and she's one of the ones who basically started the witchcraft accusations that would lead to the Salem witch trials, some of the most infamous witch trials in history, although not the only ones.
I would categorize her, just personally, as one of those people in history who pop culture has dramatically changed the perspective of. Like, yeah. I'd put her in the same category and say she's kind of like a modern day Vlad or Bathory.
Almost, you know what? Pop culture has done to her what Disney did to Pocahontas.
Yep.
Because, people don't really talk about, Pocahontas' actual age or what her real story is because of Disney very much until recently when it's become, a bigger thing to kind of try to pull the truth behind some of the stories Disney uses. But The Crucible basically did the same thing to Abigail Williams much earlier.
Because in The Crucible, she was a 17-year-old whose grudge and jealousy fueled her to use
In The Crucible, she was a 17-year-old Scarlet woman. Yeah. A whore, one could say. A homewrecker.
Honestly, because of The Crucible, I think she's probably viewed as one of the American villain.
Yeah, because in The Crucible, she's the person that you would clutch your pearls at, she fucked her husband.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, The Crucible, I think, is required reading in most American high schools.
So a lot of people are familiar with it.
Yeah, it's part of the American history thing. And so a lot of people have read the book, and a lot of people have seen the movie with Winona Ryder. I think that's the actress. I think it's Winona Ryder. Yeah.
Yeah, but in reality, you brought up her, she was about probably no older than 12 years old at the time. This revenge.
Very much
this should actually be the same week as that, too.
Mm-hmm. By the way, they finally did it! I have been hunting for these fucking cans for a month and a half now.
You all don't understand. This was an entire saga of Sekhie that you didn't get to see.
Disappointment and upset.
But yeah, I know it was likely because it was obvious she did lie and she was an initial accuser, like the Crucible said. But it was a 12-year-old's lie. That's very different than the machinations and manipulations of a 17-year-old whore.
Yeah, well, a 17-year-old woman who wanted a man who was married.
Yeah.
It's, different
It was
things.
a lie because she got in a little bit of trouble.
But at the same time, I mean, ironically, The Crucible does feature a cast of mostly real characters playing mostly the same kind of things as they did in the story itself. I mean, you have Betty Paris, you have Betty Paris's father, there's T.H.E, all the same judge. This is a story that a lot of people know. It's also one of those places that Americans like to visit. It's the site of the Salem witch trials. It's
sort of an infamous blotch in American history.
Yeah, because, here's the thing. There were witch trials in Europe as well, especially in Germany, Italy, and kind of those kind of areas where there were strong cultures of, traditional kind of witchcraft existing. But for some reason, at least in the U.S., and here's the thing. We've mentioned this a few times. We've said things like, oh, God, we hear so much about this. But also, we've never been to school in a European school, so we don't know if maybe a European school would focus more on European witch trials and not really talk about the Salem witch trials, but the Salem witch trials are the witch trials in U.S. history. I'm sure there were others, but they are so far, they fly so far below the radar, and I think that's because the Salem witch trials were such a prolific set of witch trials. There were a lot of people accused.
Yeah.
Wasn't it like 30 people?
And we're still scratching our heads to this day, like why it was in such a fervor.
And there was the theory about convulsive ergotism, right? And the one about the mold growing on the grain that caused hallucinations, but I'm pretty sure that's been primarily disproven. I was talking to a history professor about that, and that theory has been pretty conclusively disproven as the potential cause of this happening. So you're kind of back to square one when you can't blame it on a hallucinogenic mold.
The Crucible would like you to believe that it was all Abigail Williams' fault.
Yeah.
But really, the real life villain here is probably just American Puritanism of the time.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that I was going through a unit with this in my friend's history class, and one of the things was, witch trials happen because people at this time in history were desperate to have a reason for things going bad. Like, they wanted someone to blame for things going bad, and so, oh, my cow got sick and died. Well, Miss Betty looked at it the wrong way last week. She must be a witch. She cast a spell on it. So it's not my fault that my cow died. It's that witch's fault.
I mean, we still do that to this day.
Oh, we very much do. It just doesn't usually end in stoning, drowning, burning at the stake, or hanging.
As far as we know.
That's true. That's very true.
I know Sekhie is absolutely itching to get to this little thing here. But I'm going to go ahead
We can talk about Abigail Williams first. I am fine saving my fervor for when it is deserved.
We will be saving Lovecraft shit for just a little bit longer.
A slight hint at... Oh! The one day I chose not... I will be back, everybody. Fucking disgrace.
Unfortunately, Cthulhu is not who we're talking about today, you failure.
Point stands! I do not have a shirt for who we are talking about.
Alright, so let's get into Fate's Abbey real quickly before...
Okay, so...
I'm not going to show you the other two forms here first, but for now, this is Abigail Williams in Fate. Like, this is probably closer to how they, like, their regular design for it.
Yeah, so this is both a lolly design, but also she is 11 or 12, so...
Yeah.
It's not just a lolly. She is like a child, unlike some of the other servants we've seen who have been lollies. I don't hate it. It has I like that her design has like a lot of elements of what I would call kind of childish innocence. Like, it's very cute, and she's kind of got bows all over. It looks like she's got some stuffed animals. There's a poofy,
This is
poofy
my
shirt.
favorite design of hers.
Yeah, I like her little bloomers with the ties on them. Those are pretty cute, and fairly... There's nothing too historically traditional about it. Like, obviously, we're not looking at the historical dress of a person from this time period, so I can't comment much on that, although I would actually be able to, because it is one of the sort of pieces of fashion history I study. But I do like this. I find this endearing. It's like, quite cute.
You can see this is not going at all for the Crucible.
No, this is very much going for, like, a small child, perhaps... involved in something a little on the dark side. Looking at the color palette, you've got the whole orange and black and kind of that, and shadows. This
is supposed to be the unremarkable little girl who's lied through the entire town into a frenzy.
Yeah, I can see that. I'm a fan, and once again, if it's a lolly because the character is a child, I don't mind, you know? Like...
It's not impossible for the Crucible version to be summoned, or it's made in Fate. I'm not going to say that for sure. It might be, but I don't know for sure that it is.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how Fate would work, but we don't have that here. That's not what's being looked at.
Mm-hmm. So that's interesting.
Abigail Williams, though, should not normally be able to be summoned.
Is it because she's too recent in history, or she's not famous enough?
It's because this version for her, at least the non-Crucible version, I don't know about the Crucible version, isn't really famous on her own merits because they're almost two different people.
Yeah, so yeah, because I could see them taking the Crucible route, right? And saying that because that's such a popular piece of pop culture, like, yada yada, it's like any character from a book being... Like Sherlock, right? So, because it'd be like Sherlock Holmes, looking at the book version, but this is not the book version. This is the historical character.
Yeah,
who is by far lesser known.
Vlad the Impaler is known besides Dracula.
Yeah.
Abigail Williams from the Crucible is well known. Abigail Williams outside the Crucible, not even a blip on the radar.
It's because, the Salem witch trials is kind of it's a little early for U.S. history to really focus on it because much of U.S. history focuses on the Civil War and post-Civil War, and this is distinctly pre-Civil War. So this is
Pre-Revolution.
Yeah, I mean, I meant Revolution, I'm sorry. But this is like the early colonial period.
We don't even really know what happened to her after the Salem witch trials. There's speculation, but a lot of that could be rumor.
Yeah, I think as far as I'm aware, the most widely accepted bit of speculation is that she chose to move to a different town and kind of pick up her life from somewhere else as an old, once she was a little bit older. And I could see that, right? Like, on her own, as, like, a historical figure, the Abigail Williams isn't really known, because she's in a time period that not even American students study that closely, beyond the mention of the Salem witch trials, which is actually studied more in depth as a historical event when connected to English literature. Like, you get a longer unit on the history of this time in the U.S. during your English class unit on the Crucible book.
That's because the Crucible book itself was written almost politically in counter to the McCarthy trials.
Exactly. So you have to ground yourself in history and what it's trying to talk about so that you can really understand the context of the book and what the author's trying to tell you.
The original Crucible, in a way, was supposed to be it was a political statement from an English writer.
Yeah, so I could see that. I would be interested in the future if they created a Crucible Abigail Williams servant.
I would be too, but that's not what we have here. There might be a few elements they bring in from there just because it is associated. But...
Yeah, so I assume, much like the Preza King, then, the reason why she is blended with something else is to provide that kind of powerhouse backing to create the servant.
Let me get into that, actually.
So it's not just... like Preza King to give him the power to appear.
This version of Abby was summoned by one of the demon god pillars named Raum. Okay. You've seen demon god pillars in the campaign at this point. You've seen at least one of them.
Who was it?
Remember Lev turned into that big giant monster thing at the end of September?
Okay.
Yeah. So you've seen that. One of those was trying to bring in something. And it used her as the base to get it there.
Okay. Was that deliberate or just incidental?
Little of both. He used a very similar... Remember how Moriarty was merged with another thing to give him more power? Mm-hmm. It was kind of like that.
Okay.
This created a new class in FGO, at least, called the Foreigner class.
I've heard a lot about so people in the comments keep mentioning the Foreigner class, and they keep talking about how they're really excited to see my reaction to Foreigners. And a few people, so I think I mentioned at one point that I thought that when we were, I think, doing the Sherlock and Moriarty, I mentioned that I thought one of them could have been a Foreigner as a potential class, mostly because I didn't know what a Foreigner was. So you're going to have to explain that to me, because unlike Ruler or Berserker or anything, that Foreigner doesn't mean much in terms of kind of a typecast of a character that you fight with.
I mean, arguably, go back long enough, all of us are Foreigner. I'm kidding.
Conquistadors!
The Foreigner class, so I guess, why don't we get into that then, the Foreigner class in specific. The class is reserved for those without a basis in the laws of this world. That can typically mean a servant from beyond or that made it beyond known space. That particular type of Foreigner is exceedingly rare, though, due to how the fact that to be a servant, we have to know about them.
Okay. Is that why Lovecraft works under that definition? Because Lovecraft is like unknowable horror, like more than human comprehension that exists outside of areas that humans can comprehend and explore?
The typical Foreigner we see in Fate is because they are involved with foreign gods that exist beyond our understanding of reality.
Okay, which would be a direct line to cosmic horror, basically.
Yeah, and typically they're trying to impose their will into the reality.
Yeah. As one casually does.
So I have a few notes here, but one speculated condition for that to occur is it's possible Foreigners can only be summoned if the person there, like Abby here, that they're being melded onto, they have deaths that are either not well documented or just we don't even know if they where or when they actually died. They can't be verified.
It gives us that cosmic out of reach space to invade from.
Yeah. Foreigners are... Their presence alone isn't evil.
Because, question to pose. I think I've heard the name of one other foreigner mentioned in the comments before. Is Van Gogh a foreigner?
Yes.
Okay.
I actually don't know much about Van Gogh, because that hasn't come to NA yet, and I haven't really pushed myself out for research to that.
Van Gogh's not on our upcoming schedule because he hasn't come to NA yet, but
we
obviously...
do sometimes move ahead of NA. We're moving ahead a little bit here, actually.
Yeah.
Well, from when we're recording this.
Yeah, and like, obviously, I know a lot about Vincent van Gogh, but, like, the fact that he's a foreigner is very interesting to me. So I will be interested in that episode when we get there.
So, the hosts that are... There are some hosts that are more susceptible to seeking out the abyss itself, like trying to reach the foreign god. Those are, like... There are just some that are more susceptible. Like Abby here, I believe, is one of the ones that are more susceptible to that. Every foreigner that is tied to one of the outer gods, they're considered a threat to humanity.
Okay.
Regardless of how much control they have of their situation.
Just in case.
Yeah.
Okay.
These outer gods, as you've pieced together probably by the little thing in the corner there, and Sekhie knows this, they are implied, if not outright stated, to be the ones from H.P. Lovecraft or within his lore. But usually their statement is that he might have got the name wrong and someone else later. Because I think even the ones that we'll see here, the name was from someone else within the Lovecraft sort of lineage. You know what I mean by that, right? How a lot of Lovecraft is later authors and later crazy people figuring it out.
Yeah, I will say, so on that topic, right, like, obviously, I'm looking at this Wikia page, and I'm noticing it says Japanese name, this is also known as Abby, the key to the gate, right? And that, even if I hadn't known, like, from you, that I was going to need to read up a little bit of my Lovecraft, which I never need to do, because Lovecraft is just a permanent existence in my mind, that would have keyed me in automatically, because that's one of the nicknames for this particular entrance in the kind of greater Lovecraft mythos. I think, so collectively we call it the Cthulhu mythos, because Cthulhu is the most famous, you know, there's Call of Cthulhu and that sort of thing, but they're the great old ones in Lovecraft. And one of the things about Lovecraft, I guess the reason why foreigners work is that the idea of Lovecraftian beings, right, like these entities, is the idea of... And it doesn't even have to be linked to horror, but it's cosmic comprehension, right? Like, things that are quite literally beyond what a human brain can process without going mad. Like, things that would overload a human brain if experienced in their entirety. And of course that links really well to horror, where you get Lovecraft. But you can employ that in less horrific methods. For example, I know this is a weird one, right? But Supernatural. Right? The spoilers for Supernatural, if you haven't fucking seen it.
I haven't.
Not actual plot spoilers. But, so angels exist. And humans cannot look upon angels without their eyes burning out and them dying. Right? Like, on the true form of angels. Right? That's basically the way Lovecraft works. Like, obviously your eyes don't burn out and you don't fucking necessarily die immediately, but the lack of comprehension creates possibility. It creates openings. It creates space where you can take things beyond.
It's almost like a cancer of the mind.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that idea. I hate horror. I hate scary things. I fucking adore Lovecraftian mythos.
So, Abby here is tied to an outer god called T.H.E, who, through real-life lore and later interpretations of Lovecraft, and as through descriptions in FGO, is strongly implied to be Yog-Sothoth here. Sekhie, go ahead and take it away.
Well, I mean, so there's a chant, right? There's a chant, and I will butcher this. But Yainingna Yog-Sothoth he geb fi throdug wa. Right? Like, it's a summoning chant, basically. Lovecraft had a lot of fun little things, but so I think the reason why people would be able to quickly associate that name with this particular Lovecraftian being, even though he's not named Yog-Sothoth in Fate, is the nickname. It's the key to the gate, the key to the gods, because Yog-Sothoth is the key and the guardian of the gate. They are the gate, and the gate is where the old ones broke through, like before, right? He's also the father of Cthulhu, which means that, he is the big bad, Like, he is the progenitor and father of all of these other things. Like, arguably in the mythos, he's older and much more than Cthulhu, but not as much written about, right? And obviously you can see here that he's mentioned in the Dunwich horror. That's where this quote is from. Yog-Sothoth knows the gate. Yog-Sothoth is the gate.
We're not on the Fate Wiki anymore, by the way, just a heads up.
Yeah, we're on the H.P. Lovecraft Wiki now. But it's a fascinating character. Like, I really enjoy a lot of the Lovecraftian beings, right? And honestly, I think the less written about them, the more enjoyable they are. Like, Cthulhu's great and all. Like, obviously, he's the big one, right? Everyone talks about Cthulhu. But because of that, everyone kind of already has a perception of him. When you have a character who's not mentioned as much, you get to be much more...
cryptic.
Yeah, creative, individualistic, whatever you want to call it, And I think he appears in quite a few other things. But the fun thing about him is he's actually not a single being. He is a single being, but he's actually made up of iridescent globes, each of which has their own name, according to the Necronomicon and other stuff. Yes, I see you highlighting that, and I know that you made me put Lavinia Whately onto our fucking list last week, or the week before. So I know the Whateleys. I like that story. I've read that story. But yeah. So you have the orbs that he's made of, which is pretty interesting. But I don't necessarily... He's mentioned in several stories by a recurring character in Lovecraft's mythos, Randolph Carter. And obviously he's to do with the Whateleys, and the Whateleys is a very specific story. That's the Dunwich horror, which I've read extensively. Fun fact, I actually recently had to read some Lovecraft for school. I got to read The Unnameable, which is a short story of his that I'd never read before. It was very, very good. So Fate Grand Order is not the only pop culture appearance of Yog-Sothoth. He's also appeared in Doctor Who, famously, and probably been mentioned in a few other things.
He's one of those. He's one of the bigger Lovecraft.
Yeah, Yog-Sothoth, Cthulhu. Oh, the one from Innsmouth is the other big one. That's the water one.
Oh, I don't remember. I know which one you're talking about.
You know which one I'm talking about. It's hard to remember the names because sometimes they trip you up a little bit. Like, Yog-Sothoth, that's a lot of T.H.Es. Like, that's not a great collection of letters to be organized in that way. Like, Cthulhu, C-T-H-U-L-H. That is not the way that English likes to organize our sounds. Which is on purpose, of course. But still.
Yog-Sothoth.
I mean, you could Yog-Sothoth, 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 Yog-Sothoth. Yog-Sothoth. He a thought! I mean...
Alright, so I'm going to move back into Fate here now, unless you have any last things you want to say on Yog-Sothoth as you understand him.
Daddy.
Fair enough. Typhon. We actually don't know what he looks like, which is fair.
I actually do like the name, though. Okay, so I don't know if this is the case, right? But before you get into it, I would posit that Typhon actually refers specifically to the name of the father of monsters in Greek mythology, Typhon.
I believe there is some connection there. I actually did do a little bit of research on this because I was trying to make sure I knew where this connection came from. Mm-hmm. It sounds like that connection wasn't first made by Fate. Rather, it was made by one of the people who would later go on to expand upon Lovecraft stuff. So that's why it's not common in the Lovecraft canon, but it does actually come from a person in the Lovecraft canon.
Yeah, which, ironically, the whole Typhon thing, like the Greek father of monsters, kind of makes sense with Cthulhu mythos, because Yog-Sothoth is the father of Cthulhu and Vormi and the Whateleys and all that sort of stuff. Like, it's this whole kind of descendancy thing, which is pretty fucking cool.
So Typhon is considered to be both the gate and the key. Duh.
Mm-hmm.
He's able to open gates to. He's able to open gates in this world and can control the evil tree Cliffoth. Qliphoth. Unless you have a better.
I'm just gonna have to see that spelled out.
You'll see it later.
Yeah, just show it to me spelled out. I don't do well hearing letters when they're not in normal English configurations.
But through this gate, he can open. Sort of a portal to an alien world incompatible with humanity that can cause several distortions within one's mind and body.
Which 150% makes sense. Like, there is nothing there that is not completely explained.
All right.
By the originator.
Let's get to Abby's other two designs.
Oh dear. So these are the ones that'll combine them, right?
Yeah. So the first one's more witchy.
Okay.
Don't like the uncoveredness.
Jackie.
Yeah.
Same objection as Jackie. You know what I do like, though? The keyhole in her forehead.
Yeah.
Because the one of the things about Lovecraft is the perception and mind has to do with the brain and the key to the gate, and also she's holding keys.
Yep. I love the teddy bear up there.
I like the whole key thing with the spinning circle of keys, and the teddy bear is adorable. Looks like there's multiple on different sides of her hat. Yep. I do also like the asymmetry of like her shoes and stuff. I just wish I wasn't looking at a bikini with some black butterflies over it. That's my only real issue. If they had just made that dress opaque down to mid-thigh, like solid down to mid-thigh, I would have zero issues with this design.
Fair enough. Honestly, in FGO, I keep her at this level.
Yeah.
Because I actually really like this look.
Yeah. Just cover it down to mid-thigh. I'd be perfectly okay with this.
And here's her second form.
Okay, so this takes a more kind of... I like this.
Ooh.
I will say, once again, I still don't like that I'm seeing... there we go. Yeah, that I'm seeing basically thong and almost titty. But, I mean, literally outside of that, I like every other part of this. Outside of the... That is a lot of hoo-ha area to be showing.
Yeah. And here's the...
I don't like that.
Yeah, didn't think so.
Actually, flip back to that for a second. There is one thing I do like.
Keys.
Sharp, pointy teeth. And red eyes. Adorable. I want to adopt her. Right now. Right here. Right now. Little, sharp tooth girl, I will adopt.
So here's her here. We're going to look at the sprites.
Mm-hmm. The sprites. Oh, I really like the third sprite. I like how, so in the art, right? The third sprite is very kind of like tentacles, writhing, and sort of this. I like how jagged they are in the sprite design, actually. Like, I like the kind of jaggedness of the way that the tentacles are outlined.
They don't look like they're quite right.
Yeah, they just look a little off, and I like that.
All right, April Fools.
That's adorable. Oh, wait. Who the fuck is she choking in her tentacles?
We'll get to that later.
Also, those tentacles are coming out of little gates.
She's also got her pointy teeth.
Oh!
And a bandage where her key should be.
Oh! She's wearing a top hat. And she's got the little teddy bear. She's got her mummified teddy. Oh, I love this. I love the tentacles. You know I love me a good tentacle. Whether it be innocent or not innocent, I love me a good tentacle. This is the cutest thing ever. I hope that's her master choking back there.
Not quite, but we will get there. You will know who that is by the end of this.
Okay. Because it's real cute.
So, one Abby is in her creepy little form here.
Yeah.
So, she's active... So, when she's like this, she's more connected to the Abyss and Yogg-Sothoth.
Oh, shit. Did you notice that her fucking teddy bear has split open?
Yeah.
Into some sort of eldritch being? I love that.
She primarily fights by opening the gates.
Yeah.
And summoning tentacles
through them. Yeah. I will say, if I had one complaint to make about this, the tentacles are very Cthulhu and the Innsmouth one, and I would have mayhap preferred slime balls or orbs coming through the gate, because Yogg-Sothoth is a being made of orbs, and each of the orbs has a different name and a different ability.
I think when she came out, this was sort of the brand new thing, though. This was supposed to be the Cthulhu, or not Cthulhu myth, like the Lovecraftian mythos servant. And
tentacles, Cthulhu, that is the obvious association that people make, so I get it. However, I just wish maybe they'd
gone with the
orbs. Bit more... Yeah. But I'm fine with the tentacles. I do enjoy them.
I mean, I know you're fine with the tentacles.
I really like her ornate key. Like, you know what? Humanity, I feel bad for us with our fucking boring ass keys these days. Like, bring back these heavy iron, giant, ornate keys. I want to walk around with a key ring on my hip that weighs 40 pounds. Because they're wrought iron.
When she's in this form and a little bit less connected, the tentacles are actually white and almost translucent. Because she's not pulling them through as fully. She can also summon giant keys to use as the physical weapons.
Okay. Keyblade.
Yeah, basically.
I'm sorry.
They also work to summon even more tentacles. Besides that, she can also fire a laser from her keyhole.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, that's pretty cool, actually. Forehead laser.
She releases otherworldly butterflies to attack her opponents sometimes.
And that's why she's covered in butterflies.
Yep.
Makes sense.
Her connection to the outer god allows her to have his divinity, or his version of a divinity.
So she does get divinity.
I don't know if she has the divinity skill, but she has what the equivalent of an outer god divinity is.
Is she affected by Gilgamesh's, or not Gilgamesh's, but who's that one that nerfs the age servants? Like, does this affect her in a weird way?
I actually don't know. That's one of those conceptual fight scenes that we don't really...
Because she hasn't fought that yet?
Yeah.
Okay.
That is a very, Once again, you are entering the fate rabbit hole of who would win in this fight.
I'd be willing to make a bet on that name being pronounced, scroll up just a little. Up. Tiny bit. Oh. No, there it is. Hold on. Quilifoth? Quilifoth? Yeah, because that's a foth at the end. So Quilifoth?
Okay.
Something like that. Oh, Lavinia Waitley. There we go. We mentioned her. Also, Neja and Robin Hood. Yes. Queen of Sheba.
They were all very much part of her story.
Yeah. The fuck is a stray servant?
So yes, she does have divinity. Stray servants. Hi. What's his name from
Zuko?
Witcher?
Oh,
I saw
Geralt.
I saw Geralt of Rivia there.
There was also Zuko.
So yeah, she does have a straight divinity. So I wasn't sure off the top of my head.
Okay.
Like the outer gods, she does have the ability to sort of influence people into insanity.
Yeah, I like the whole insanity B rank, anxiety and fear, deviation from harmony and providence.
And a lot of her attacks are more mental attacks than anything else.
I'm not surprised. I do like that witch trial down at the bottom. That's. Yeah. Oh, I like the description of it too. Yeah, the loss of sanity. I mean, I feel like the more I see of these and the kind of the more effort they put into the class skills and personal skills, like I really appreciate some of them.
Abby definitely came out at a point where they're trying to give servants more distinct skills than just writing divinity.
Yeah, because you have here prayer of faith, Puritan belief that honors poverty and daily prayer. You've got loss of sanity, right? That says break down the fragile common sense and moral sense of humans.
So, can I nerd out here about the game design?
Okay.
So, it's really funny to see early design servants in FGO versus later design servants. Because the early design servants all have like these things like tactics, charisma. And because of the campaign, I actually have to interact with those.
Yeah. The
later ones start like, they don't start at tactics charisma. They start with these types of skills, which are very very unique to the servant.
Yeah.
Meaning they have more unique effects, whereas the older servants all had generic effects that were shared between servants. So the early servants had just mismatched kits that didn't go together.
It's like Ku having like protection from arrows and like one and like the fucking invulnerability, and then like
as you start getting buffs with those servants, you start seeing them introduce more skills that are named like this in convention.
Yeah.
You just don't have straight descriptions of what they are.
Yeah, like I really like the witch trial one. A person in question is made to draw out from others, very specifically, impulses of suspicion and jealousy towards themselves without intending to, giving rise to a chain of misfortune, right? Which is very true. I mean, like she accused people of being witches, and that led to the Salem witch trials. Like it's very interesting. Yeah.
All right, so the Quiffholm rhizome. I'm just going to open this up. I will go down here a bit so you can see the text if you want. But basically, the Senpi is a portion of what the Outer God is capable of doing by opening the gate to that alien world I mentioned earlier. Abby has access to that and can use it to attack someone both mentally and physically. In FGO, we have a version we can see and a version we can't see. The version depends on the Ascension. Normally, it would be enough to shatter anyone's mind or even destroy an entire world's minds, making it truly scary, but Abby, perhaps due to her own restraints, holds back from being capable of doing quite that much.
How many... Is this a 5-star servant?
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe in FGO, not necessarily in campaign. Campaign, we've fucked with the stars just because it's a different system altogether.
Yeah.
But yeah, in FGO, she is a 5-star servant. That's relatively rare. She's actually pretty low tier. All right.
I mean, that's definitely interesting.
Let's go ahead and pull up that MP.
I think...
Oh, that's no sound. Did I...
You muted entirely.
But
Go down there.
Back on.
No, click it. Click where... No, click where it's coming from. The little arrow. No. Okay, click the arrow. Right? Now you have to switch it to speaker Realtek.
All right. Thank you, Sekhie, for your technological know-how. This is the version we can't see.
The power of imagination.
This is the version we can see. It's the same between both our forms.
You know why I like her tentacles? Because I know that Fate has the animation ability to make them look much smoother and much more 3D and much better, but because of the way that they've chosen to animate them, they kind of look like 2001 like Sonic texture, right? And it just makes them look uncanny compared to everything else. Like, they're just not the same.
It works to create that, like, this is not
dissonance.
Quite... Yes.
Dissonance.
So, yeah, and that is Abby. That's not the end of Abby, though.
See, I like Abby, but it's interesting that she's one of the servants that there's just less on in history. Like, we're going to run across servants like this. Penthesilea was like this. There's just less that we're certain of in history, so there's much less that I can...
But even Penthesilea is based more off of a
story.
A story than it was the actual mythological version.
Yeah.
So, we do have a summer form.
Oh, sweet!
So this is stage 1.
Okay.
Stage 2. Stage 3.
Okay, wait, you want to enlarge those for me? Or just open the fucking...
The wiki.
Sorry.
No,
my brain. Alright. I will say, this is my least favorite of the 3.
Fair enough.
I think this might be my favorite, and there's a couple reasons for that, right? One, she has a cat with a keyhole eye.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
That is a... Black cat, looking for a witch as dark as pitch. I love that. Also, there's another cat down at her feet, so she has 2 cats. That's even better than 1 cat. What's better than 1 cat? 2 cats.
And then her final form this time is the one that's a little...
I actually think that's really cute. That's the kind of ruffle swimsuit that you put on your child when they want something fancy but 2-piece. And now you have an actual little black cat with yellow eyes and a gray cat with yellow eyes. And there's a watermelon and beach toys. Like, here's the thing, right? Like, the first art of these just looked like a skimpy, inappropriate bikini. The second one was a 1-piece. Perfectly fine. No actual issue here. This is the kind of swimsuit that you could buy for your child if they say, I want a 2-piece with, like, flounces. Like, this is cute. This is adorable. I like that her inner tube is filled with, like, little polka-dotted hearts and other shit. It's really cute. Mm-hmm. And she's got the little jacket hanging off if she needs it. And the kitties! The kitties make this so much better. Also, her stuffed bears have been turned into other inner tubes.
It's interesting that her forms are reversed here this time, though.
Yeah, because the first one's the gray skin, kind of. The first one's closest to her fighting form, right? Because it's got, like, the key and everything. And then 2 and 3 just seem, like, cute.
This one's supposed to be based more off of her, like, the more Puritan side.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because it's white with you've got the kind of bishop's hat.
It's also got arguably the most conservative, comparatively, design with the 1-piece.
I had a swimsuit like that when I was a kid, I'm sure. Yeah.
And then there's her last.
Yeah. No, I like that. I quite like 2 and 3. Don't like that. No. Yeah, please. Did not like that. that was pasties and one of those, like, privacy flaps that they put adults in pornos. That was not... No.
So this Abby is still a foreigner.
Okay.
I will preface this by saying, at the time we're recording this, we are in the middle of Summer Abby's event, and I've only just finished the Shining reference. I have not gotten to a lot of lore on Abby,
oh,
so I
hey,
might
the
get some of
Shining
that wrong.
reference.
Yeah. Oh no, this event is all full, like, horror, like, famous horror film references. It's glorious.
As such, I am glad that I am not participating.
Yet.
Oh, we're gonna hit it in campaign!
One day, maybe.
I really don't do good with scary things. Like, really, really don't.
There was a Ghostbusters reference in there.
Ghostbusters!
But, so, beyond the obvious, this is Abby in Summer. Summer Abby is a bit different than normal Abby, to what I could read at least.
Mm-hmm.
Normal Abby in temperament is, no matter which form, it's all one Abby, just with varying levels of sort of influence of the foreign god, Yogg-Sothoth.
Is this more or less?
This Abby is actively basically 3 different personalities from what I was reading.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that actually feels accurate with the, because those are very different designs.
Yeah.
I can appreciate that, though. It's kind of nice having 3 drastically different designs.
This first, the foreigner-looking one here, the first one's supposed to harken to her original final form, is actually the most mature and reasonable amongst the 3.
Understandable.
Behaving remarkably more adult in temperament. This one behaves like an elder sister.
Okay.
This one is the middle sister of the group and represents Abby's puritanical background. I did mention that a minute ago.
Mm-hmm.
This one is hardworking and curious but reliable. This is the most childish one and innocent, you could probably guess. But this is also makes her, with Yogg-Sothoth in there, she's certifiably insane. She's probably the most dangerous of the 3.
This is very Nornish, very Moirai of them, right? Having very, very, very triple goddess, right? Kind of like the Morrigan as a triple goddess with Meb and Bad, because so throughout mythologies, right? I just named 3, right? I just named the Greeks, the Norse, and the Celts, right? Celts, whatever. They all have this tradition of like triple goddesses. 2 of which have to do with fate, 1 has to do with more kind of battlefield and that sort of thing, but they all have this set of goddesses that's older, middle, younger, and then they're typically ascribed different things. Like with the Norns and the Moirai, right? You have, for example, the Norns, you have Erd, Verdandi, and Skuld, right? You have the one who sews the thread, the one who weaves the thread, and the one who cuts the thread, right? And it's the same thing with the Moirai, right? The one who makes the thread, the one who weaves the tapestry, and the one who cuts the thread, right? And then I believe in the Morrigan's case, it's more of a true triple goddess where it's 3 aspects of the same kind of goddess, which is what that feels like. But the triplicate with different personalities and appearances to each one is very interesting, because at least in the case of Morrigan, right? In the case of Norns and Moirai, it's 3 separate people. But in the case of the Morrigan, some scholars believe it is one goddess representing 3 different aspects of themselves at different, like, 2 different situations. And in some ways, Sekhmet and Hathor share that in Egyptian mythology. In some versions of Egyptian mythology, Sekhmet is the bloodthirsty aspect, Hathor is the kind of partying aspect, and then Bastet is the regular aspect of this single goddess. Not all traditions, but some argue that.
So, I don't know if it's just this form, if it's all 3 forms, but if it's just this form, it's because she's so insane it's leaking out. These 2 cats are known to try killing each other.
So do Sissa and Trixie occasionally over catnip. Oh my god! It's Sissa and Trixie! A fat gray one and a little black one! So I have a fat fluffy gray cat and a little black and white one, and occasionally they fight.
So as far as abilities goes, she does a lot of the same mental attacks, and she still has her gates. Her NP is where things differ a fair bit.
Okay.
Abby's, so let me see if I can...
I like that description of foreigners. Those who crawl out of the gates who are heretical and foreign to the order. I like that. I like the association of something like heretical with it. Oh, yeah, those are 3 totally different personal skills.
Yeah.
Ooh.
They all still retain that full, like, this is an attack on your sanity, just maybe in different ways. So her NP is called Dreamlands. It is... So you'll see it here, but we'll pull up the full version still. Where Abby takes you to a place so radically So Abby starts by taking you... Oh, it shifted us down.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Starts by taking you somewhere so radically different and awful it breaks your mind, and then takes you somewhere so nice and pleasurable it causes you to, in comparison, just lose your sense of self.
Oh, shit. Like, that's actually fairly common in quite a lot of horror. Like tropes, having, like, a monster or a character who kind of puts you into such a happy place in your mind that you don't notice, perhaps, that your body is dying in reality or something like that. Like, you know, being trapped inside your own mind to the detriment of your physical well-being.
So, I believe it's the same across all 3 forms. We can quickly skim to check, but I'm fairly certain it is.
Each of those backgrounds was inspired by a different fantasy project, and I think I could identify each of them. I'd have to go back and take a closer look, but
Well, let's
like,
if you want to like take
okay. Let's see. So as she's walking down the steps, pause it as it reveals a background. Pause. Okay. Keep going.
These actually might be different.
They are all different. You didn't know that?
No, I mean different from the previous set.
Oh.
So, because that I'm fairly certain. Let's go back.
That one was there.
Was this one there?
Yes. I remember the waterfalls of green. Yeah, but see that one? That looks like Rapunzel. Look, tower. See?
Rapunzel.
The tower hidden up. Then you've got something like that. That's a fantasy
Those
kingdom.
were different.
Yeah, they were different.
Let's go to this last one then. Take a look
Yeah.
here. Wait, sorry, no, this is the last one. Yeah. That was the...
Okay. I love the little eldritch cats.
There's the castle.
There's the castle. There's the green waterfall.
Okay, so it's the same as the first one. So
Okay,
it's that second one that was
yeah,
different.
the second one had a couple extra in it, I guess.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, but that's not where we're going to end Summer Abbey Abby today, because
we have more.
So these are people that we're going to dive into a little bit of the wider Lovecraft mythos here, because a lot of that ends up tying into Abby a fair bit, and these are not characters that are going to be able to get their own episodes.
As in, they're not summonable, or
they're not summonable. There's not a lot on them, and what we have on them in Fate is tied to Abby.
Okay.
So.
Oh yeah, I see those names up there.
Yeah.
Oh, I already mentioned 2 of those.
Yeah. So, a few figures from Lovecraftian lore have made their appearances around Abby. First, I'm going to mention H.P. Lovecraft himself.
Yes.
It's like a lot of authors...
Lovecraft liked writing himself, or at least facsimiles of himself, into his stories.
Like a lot of authors, Lovecraft... Because, like, if you remember, one of the explanations for... I think we did Fran already, right? Mm-hmm. Fran was that the author was writing an account that was slightly off.
Yeah.
That is what they're saying Lovecraft did. That he was writing stuff... Like, he was basically, in his fever dreams, being shown parts of the truth of what was really out there.
He didn't really need fever dreams. He was crazy enough without them.
And I think this means that the outer gods are implied to be what mentally broke him in the first place.
I thought it was math.
Honestly, in real life, it lines up no matter what interpretation you take. That man was insane.
Okay, hang on. I need to let out some snarky comments about this man.
Go right ahead.
I love Lovecraft. I love Lovecraft's works. Lovecraft was a pathetic, mewling quim of a human being. He was racist, he was sexist, he was classist, he was afraid of everything. He didn't continue math past a basic level because he didn't have the constitution for it. And as a result, so many of his writings mention things like non-Euclidean geometry because he didn't understand what non-Euclidean geometry was. And here, in a nutshell, I have looked up non-Euclidean geometry for this very purpose because he made such a big deal about it in all of his stories. Non-Euclidean geometry is geometry performed on a curved surface. What do we live on?
A curved surface.
Like, this man was afraid of everything. Do you know what his only benefiting factor was? He was so afraid of everyone that he was racist to everyone. This man did not pick and choose to be racist by color of skin. This man chose to be racist to everyone who was not a generationally descendant New Englander. This man thought that anyone who didn't have like 7 generations of their family coming from New England inbreeding was Satan themselves. Even other British people new to the Americas.
We like to call that radically xenophobic.
Yeah, like, this man was so racist that the only good thing you could say was that at least he was equally racist to everyone. Like, at least the only somewhat positive thing you could say is that at least when he accused people of other races of doing bad stuff, it was always every race, including white people, if they weren't from New England.
So I just wanted to point out, I love this when I scrolled through it.
Oh, Giles de Rais. Well, it does. Giles de Rais kind of has a weird cosmic horror-y thing going on.
There are connections there.
Yeah.
We'll get there when we get there. There's a lot to go over Giles de Rais.
That's funny about Thomas Edison, Geronimo, and Queen of Sheba.
Those are characters we haven't really covered.
We haven't covered.
Not much
yet.
You can really connect there.
Yeah, I only know. Oh, okay. So I was gonna say she was holding that jacket in the art, and we never really got to see the jacket.
We'll get to see those arts. With
okay. Is it a card art?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Keep these open, and we'll jump to there later.
Okay.
So next up.
I wanna. Okay, I see Randolph Carter. I assume that's next. So, all right. So, I recently had to read The Unnameable, I mentioned earlier. The Unnameable is a short story. It's only like a page and a half long, at most, right? It's a really good short story, though. I would highly recommend it. And I hate short stories, so that's high praise for me. I hate them. So, Randolph Carter is not a named character at first in The Unnameable. At first, the only character you get is someone by the name of Joel Morton, I believe. And then at the very end, like in the final 2 lines of this book, Joel says something, right, to the narrator, who we've not had a name for this whole time, and he's like, Carter, it was the Unnameable, right? And Carter is a character who appears actually in, I believe, 6 or 7 works chronologically that Lovecraft wrote, and then several written by other authors writing in the mythos universe. And Carter is typically assumed to be an alter ego of Lovecraft himself.
It's a self-insert.
Yeah, like Lovecraft did write himself as Lovecraft into a story or two, but Randolph Carter is mostly by scholars read to be an insert of Lovecraft himself. And so we get things like the Statement of Randolph Carter, which is the most kind of famous work that he's in, and that sort of thing.
Yeah, so
he's typically a storyteller. Like, he's the one telling the story or explaining it to the audience or other characters inside the narrative, as Lovecraft himself was doing.
So, going along those lines of him being just a blatant self-insert for Lovecraft for a lot of this, it is possible.
Is that who the tentacles were choking?
No.
Then it's Lavinia. It was a girl.
Randolph is potentially just Lovecraft himself, given that he's a self-insert, but that's very vague in the Fate.
Yeah, it's vague in the stories as well. It's just most scholars assume.
So this is Randolph's design.
Oh boy, does that look like... Y'all, okay, we're not going to do it, but y'all should just go look up a picture of Lovecraft. You have never seen a more inbred white man terrified of everything.
Can you tell? I can tell he's not going to be a summonable servant anytime soon.
Oh yeah, because that's just... I like the name of it, though. Gentleman Who Travels Through Time and Space.
Yeah, Chandra Putra.
Why? Jesus.
So... He goes by Swami Chandraputra as well as the gentleman who travels through time and space. I think those are actual like names he's gone under in Lovecraft works.
I believe so.
So this version of him seeks out and looks into outer gods and takes a somewhat fatherly role with Abigail Williams once they've kind of crossed paths. He also is there to keep an eye on her after her powers sort of almost destroyed the world. And the reasons that he met Abby in the first place is because he was following the demon god pillar Realm I mentioned earlier. Because Realm was attempting to summon what amounted to be Cthulhu into someone else to carry out his plan, but that plan failed, and then he turned to Abby. That's what I meant by Abby was both the intention and kind of not the intention. Okay. Abby was the second option.
Yeah, the backup.
Yeah. Because Abby was much easier to influence, whereas the first person, like, remember how I mentioned earlier that Abby was more susceptible to being drawn towards the abyss? The first person was not. The first person...
Am I going to get to know who the first person was?
Eventually. Not today. But the first person did take Cthulhu by the dick and say, "You're going my direction."
Oh, so we are getting a Cthulhu.
Eventually.
Oh, man, that better be on the fucking schedule for next year. I hope you know that if it isn't, it's getting moved up to the short list of servants on the schedule for...
I'm going to tell you right now, I'm pretty sure it isn't.
Damn.
So, Round turned his eyes to the much easier to influence Abby, and he actually caught Carter and used his body for a while until Carter got it back.
Lovely.
So, yeah, I know. This Carter's kind of funny. I've seen people in the Fate fandom refer to him as being kind of like Doctor Who, just picking up a random girl and going on travel. Because a version of Abby does end up traveling with him as a companion to search across the
I should have guessed by the name. Yeah, man who travels through time and space, gentleman. Yeah. That's a very Doctor Who.
He doesn't actually appear that much. He's only made 3 appearances in Fate.
Quick question. Scroll down a little. This is off topic, of course, a little bit, but the Dream of 1,000 Stars and 100 Nights, is that an Arabian Nights sort of chapter, or is it just...
So this is an interlude. You actually won't get to see a lot of these for the campaign, because there's no way I can read through all of them and adapt all of them. But interludes are chapters where you take servants that were in the story at one point, or maybe weren't in it very much, and you get to see another snippet of them. You get to see them, like, go through another small little story. Sometimes they're less serious, and sometimes they're this. This one in particular was your character having to deal with both the Abby you summon, as well as having to go back and reuniting with the Abby that was involved with the initial creation of this version of Abby. Okay. So the one that's traveling with Chandraputra over here.
Okay.
So yeah.
Alright, the next 2 are both from the Dunwich horror.
The Waddleys.
Yeah, the Waitley.
The Waitleys.
Waitley's.
So this is Absalom. I'm just going to sit here for a bit to build up.
Poor Absalom. Poor guy.
He only appears very briefly in the chapter, but I'll use this while I'm introducing the Waitleys.
Yeah.
When Realm created the version of Abby we have seen, Abby wanted a friend and was not complying with Realm, nor following the plans he put in place to break her down.
Yeah.
So he called on the Wadley family, and most specifically, he wanted Lavinia here.
Lavinia.
Or Lavinia.
So Absalom is the stand-in for the father, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So in the original story, he's just called Old Waitley.
Yeah.
Most of the time. Lavinia is his wife, and then their child is Wilbur. Does Wilbur appear as a servant or a character?
I don't believe so. I could check her family here.
Wait, switch back to Absalom for a second. Oh, that's not a baby. Okay.
No.
So Wilbur is the Dunwich horror, everyone. I'm gonna spoil it. It's Wilbur. It's fucking Wilbur.
Yeah, okay. So, okay. Sorry, I was just scrolling through to see if they mentioned any of the other Waddley.
Yeah, I wanted to see if they mentioned Wilbur.
I didn't see him.
Okay.
Because it's... So...
I do like the design, though, of Lavinia.
People really want her summonable.
I was going to say, it's very... Coraline?
Yeah, a bit, yeah.
A little bit. It's like if Coraline and Sally. Also a little bit like Sally. It's got the same kind of like long limbs, big eyes as Sally.
So Lavinia in the Lovecraft mythos is very well connected to Yog-Sothoth. Yeah. One could even say, depending on who you are, enviously connected to Yog-Sothoth.
One could say that perhaps she has been intimately connected with the great Lord Yog-Sothoth.
She had his baby.
Very much so. And, here's the thing, right? I get it with the tentacles, but I wonder how that works with the orbs. I'm not gonna say someone tell me in the comments, because I don't want to provoke that kind of discussion in our channel comments. But, maybe think about that.
So, yeah. Realm summoned Lavinia and Absalom, as well as probably more of their family. We just don't get to see them.
Ovipositioning, that's how it works.
Okay, moving on.
I'm traumatizing you. I'm so sorry. You are not equipped to deal with this.
But yeah, she was meant to push Abby into touching more on getting in touch more with Yog-Sothoth. There is some implication that they actually existed at one point and were recorded by Lovecraft and were mages.
Okay.
This makes them fundamentally incompatible with the town of Salem where Realm's plan was taking place.
Well, but the Whateleys also aren't from Salem.
No, they're not.
They're from Dunwich.
But Realm created sort of a false Salem.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, he hoped their executions after Abby was already friends with Lavinia might throw Abby into
Is that
despair.
Abby's stuffed bear torn apart? Or is it Lavinia's bear that Abby's carrying?
Could be both, actually. It might be that... Because, remember, Abby has a ton of stuffed bears. I don't remember the story specifically, but it might have been the case that Lavinia was tearing up bears, leaving them, and Abby was sewing them back together.
Cute? I don't know if that's cute or not.
Initially, the family did not follow the plan, because they did not know what was going on, and they knew not to be in the fucking town of Salem as mages.
Yeah, maybe not a good place to put yourself.
So they tried to escape until Realm appeared to them, told them what the fuck was going on. They obviously want Yog-Sothoth. Realm wants Yog-Sothoth. They were getting fucking Yog-Sothoth.
It would have been a whole lot less fucky-wucky if they had just made Wilbur Whately a character. Just gone with the Dunwich horror and made Wilbur Whately a character.
So...
I'm not saying that I don't like Abby, but, they could have avoided a whole lot of fucky-wucky by just leaning into the Lovecraft.
Well, the point is, they never want to lean fully into the Lovecraft.
That's fair, because then it just
very
becomes...
far away from being any association with history.
Yeah.
It's kind of like bringing in a second sort of urban fantasy universe into yours.
True.
So bringing in elements is probably better for what Type Moon is trying to do.
Yeah, that's fair.
Lavinia did end up being friends with Abby. They're actually very cute together.
I genuinely want to see it. It sounds adorable.
But that played right into Realm's hands. So that's another story for another day. So yeah, that's Abigail Williams. Let's go ahead and move down to CEs.
Yeah, I'm excited.
So this is for the normal Abby.
Yeah.
So these are her designs here. No sort of Chinese fucky-wucky.
So it's Lavinia who's choking.
Yes.
Okay. By the way, just a pedantic question about Lavinia. Is that a horn or a hair clip sticking out of one side of her head?
I have no idea.
It looks like a horn. Because it's
does.
also present when she's getting choked out by the tentacle.
Yeah.
Also, this makes me think that that's maybe less that the tentacle is deliberately choking her and maybe the tentacle is trying to hug her but is a little too tight.
That's very possible.
Yeah. Oh! That's so cute. That's so cute!
Teddy.
Oh, teddy bear plushie.
And these are her expressions, if you can get a quick look at that. I'm not going to linger. Other.
Okay, so...
And here are the craft essences.
Well, I say, you know what? Just go ahead and open them all. We've got time. I want to see them all. I'm curious. At least the ones that make sense, you know? You can open that. I've seen virtually everyone in it, I think. Or at least most of them.
Okay.
Alright, let's start from the beginning. Okay, so Rosarium de Clavis Argentis.
This is her Bond CE.
The Silver Rosary of... Yeah.
I can move down when you're ready.
A Silver Rosary key, okay. Sorry, the Latin was sitting in my head and I was like, Argentum, clavis is and okay. Oh, thaumaturgist. Okay. Scroll a little. Okay. Necronomicon. Okay. Scroll. Ooh, glacial period. Interesting. Down. The long CE. Jesus. Okay. Ah, hey, la. That's very Cthulhu mythos of it. Boundary. There it is. The summoning. The summoning.
They actually do say that in the chapter at some point. That's how they actually summon.
Okay, I like this. I like how it trails off at the end and it just says the excerpt ends. Like, that's very traditionally Lovecraft. Like, he was a big fan of just having his narrators, like, drop the plot, kind of, and let you...
Like they forgot to keep going?
Or they weren't around to keep going, you know, or something like that. Like, I'm a big fan of that. So let me take a look at the art. Just...
Oh, more look at the art?
Yeah, I didn't get a very good... Okay, so it's a silver rosary key, basically. Or silver key on a chain. Okay.
Alright, so this is her Valentine's CE.
Key. Chocolate key. Oh, there's a little cacao bean in the center of the... We know all about cacao beans. Why does it have fucking stats? Why does it have stats? Chocolate does not need stats.
Oh my god, damage bonus plus 1d4.
Weapon, a sweet pain to the heart. Oh, mass hysteria.
Man, this makes it very easy for when I eventually get around to Valentine's for this character in the campaign.
Ugh. I like it. It's a few strands of cat's hair got mixed in. Yes. 10 out of 10. I understand that pain. So this is the jacket she was holding in all of her summer
This
art.
is her little traveling thing for the anniversary. You've seen her. It's just
okay.
Like traveling.
Okay. All right, that makes sense. Oh, there's a little tentacle monster attached to her leg. I love it. It's cute.
I can move on whenever you're ready.
Yeah. This is pretty simple. Not much
the
to it.
bandage from the April
Yeah,
Fool's Day,
I did see that.
which she doesn't normally have in any other form.
Yeah. Okay, so this is Lavinia and
Abby.
that's cute. Look at the cake and the... Oh, I mean, the swimsuits are a bit inappropriate, but, you know.
It's... Yeah.
Yeah, it's a vacation sort of thing. This is obviously a fun piece of art. Oh, it's a giant teddy bear float. I just noticed that. I like it. Okay, so wait, okay. Now, I've seen some more of these characters now, right? There's Ivan, there's Skahak, and there's a Valkyrie.
Another Valkyrie.
Is that
Another
Abby with... Yeah, that's Abby up there. And there's fucking Edison, the Preza King. Which leaves the only people I don't know in this image...
Well, this is MASH here.
Yeah, that's MASH. So I don't know the man, obviously.
Yes. You don't know him.
Is that Nitocris?
Where?
Left chibi in front of the man's
No.
chest. Okay, so I don't know that. I don't know some of the little chibis in front.
Yeah.
And I don't know the man, but I know everyone else. Okay.
I actually don't recognize who that is off the top of my head either.
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
Wait, does it say their names? No.
No, but we've seen this one before. Several times.
This is another anniversary scene.
Oh, that's cute! I love her outfit! It's adorable!
She's got her little...
With the tentacles sprawling her... Oh, look! Now we've got orbs drifting off.
Yep.
I like that. I like that more. It's cute.
Salem of Heresy. There's Abby in the background.
I was gonna say, I don't know these two characters in the front, and I
MASH and main character female.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, but, like, I actually like that she's, like, just kind of off in the back, menacing. You want to scroll down and see if there's anything? Ah, interesting.
It looks like a little commemorative CE.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, because there was they probably did a manga or adaptation
okay.
of it.
Okay.
Like they did the other ones. It's probably where Absalom's design came from.
Okay.
Not close.
You don't need them anymore.
Yeah. I'll keep that open.
Okay.
Alright, so next up, another one of the anniversary.
I think it's just a different version.
Yep,
Yeah.
another anniversary outfit.
It's cute. Full of characters I don't recognize. Is that Archer?
That is
Emiya?
Archer Emiya.
Archer Emiya.
MASH.
I don't know the others. They're also
Abby.
too far in the background for me to really tell who they are.
Don't know him, don't know her. Yeah, no, you don't know them.
Yeah. Okay, Cook's Heart, the last one for regular Abby. Cute. Cute. I only know Abby. This is like child Abby. This is like...
neither of these characters, I think, are actually servants we'll be going over naturally on the channel, because they're not historical figures. That's Ilya from Fate Stay Night, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay.
And that is someone named Sekhie Kiara, who is her own fucking can of worms that we will eventually do something with, but not a historical figure that you have to worry about reacting to.
Okay. Wait, hold on. Okay, sorry. Go down. Yeah.
Abby loves pancakes. I forgot to mention that, because that was a hint. Abby loves pancakes.
Didn't you say? Yeah, you said it at the end of last video. You were like, let's go get some pancakes.
Yeah, that was one of the hints. Abby absolutely loves pancakes. I almost forgot.
I am now craving pancakes. Scroll up to the top of this page real quick. All the way. I just noticed that that's a chibi version of Sherlock Holmes. Drinking wine. Up where it says this is a limited craft essence.
Oh.
The chibi Sherlock. And there's like little evidence A, B. Sort of. Okay. Sorry. I derailed us. Alright, Summer Seas.
This is the summer form.
I do like seeing the CEs now. Incidentally, we will actually be... So when we do our updates video, early next year, we will be going over all the CEs I missed with early servants where we just weren't covering them, as well as NPs. So for those of you that said, like, you wish I'd seen them, I will get to see them all during the update video.
That's going to be a fucking
It might be a bit of
video.
It'll be a bit of a mammoth video, but you're kind of going to get to see a little bit of everything if you choose to watch it. Makes sense. Kitty. Oh, the pool! I love the pool.
Kitty pool.
I love the kiddie pool.
That's probably a skill.
Teddy pool.
Oh, it's an extra attack. I've actually never seen that.
It's a teddy pool. I love it. Expression sheets. Yeah, I love her.
Those are just some extra arts.
Yeah. Okay, so there's just 3, so let's take a look at them.
She's relatively new. She only just came out in NA. Or she's not even technically summonable in NA yet. This is her...
I love this.
This is her Bond CE.
I love that it's a scimitar inside a balloon. Also, I would have to fact check that against like some like Call of Cthulhu shit, but I bet that writing is supposed to be like reminiscent of something.
It's certainly not Japanese.
No, it's I could have told you that. No, because there is like a writing style ascribed to like summoning the old ones and shit like that. Like there are symbols and shit. I'd be willing to bet they at least tried.
I'd be willing to bet that's what's written.
Yeah.
The name of God of the great gates,
please give me power. Give me power. Give me power. Yeah, it's a ceremonial use. Oh, you pour vitality into it to inflate it. That's pretty funny. I kind of like that it's a sword inside of a bubble.
You were done with that, right?
Yeah, kitties. Her kitties. And some chocolate, but mostly her kitties.
Is the Valentine's, I believe?
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's kitties! Oh, see, furnished with cat-shaped bonbon chocolate. At the center of the pentagram is a mysterious flame. Oh, it's got him again. It's got him again! Oh, look, its attack method is eating, nibbling. It'll nibble you! Knick-knack, it will nibble you!
Armor nut!
It will nibble you, Knick-knack! Nibble,
Sekhie,
nibble!
why does this have stats?
This is what I asked last time! I love it. I love it!
Are you good?
Yes.
Alright, and this is the last one of the outfits.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, that's pretty nice to look at. I like it.
So, yeah, that's Abby.
Yeah.
If you want, I could show you one cute thing a fan put together on her.
Yes, very much so. Show me. Show me the cute. Show me the carrot.
We might have to end up muting this section, so don't say anything that you're not willing to mute if we get copyright struck.
Ooh, apple cookie recipe. Sorry, I have the attention span of a 2-year-old. Fate Grand Carnival's getting a season 2?
It's had a season 2. It actually has a dub now. I'd show you more, but it'd be a bunch of servants you don't know.
so cute. I love it. Aww. It's cute.
I wanted to show you that just because that's something
It's
that
very cute.
I remember being passed around a lot when Abby first came out. Just to give proper credit where proper credit's due, it is inspired, and I'm not going to play the video. It is this was a repost of a video on Nico Nico, and I'm not going to play the video, but I just want to pull this up for credit. Mm-hmm. From Gyari, it's a version from it with other characters. So but that got particularly popular
nice.
When Abby was coming out.
Yeah, so, that's fun.
That's Abigail Williams. What did you think?
I liked the addition of Lovecraft to help bulk up the kind of section that I can really be involved with. Because I think sometimes with characters, for example, like Penthesilea, right? Mm-hmm. There's so little definitive stuff on them, right? Either as a story or in history. And if it had just been Abigail Williams as in the historical character, we wouldn't really have had a lot to talk about unless you wanted to go deep in depth on the trials themselves, which she didn't have, much involvement in beyond the accusing. So it was. I really liked being able to talk more.
I love the character development here, where because you had this Abby that was normal Abby with the Yogg Sothoth stuff, you actively said you would like to see what the Crucible version would be like different.
I'm curious.
Yeah. Whereas before this, you were like, no, fuck Abigail.
Fuck the Crucible.
Yeah.
I mean, I still think fuck the Crucible, but like...
It piques the curiosity now.
Yeah, it piques my curiosity. So I'm happy about that. Obviously, I love the incorporation of Lovecraft. That 10 out of 10. Yes. It's a pleasant surprise. Yeah. And the outside of Jackie, the most appropriate use yet of a lolly.
Depending on the form.
Yeah, depending on the form. Very much depending on the form. So do you have any specific hints for our next servant? What?
So this is a servant whose name and fate is not the name they are most well known by.
Okay.
That's all I'll say.
All right. With that being said, we're off to go summon Yogg Sothoth. So we'll see you next time. Like, comment, subscribe.